Hey Canucks fans, let's talk about the disappointing career of defenseman Olli Juolevi. I bring this up now because Olli Juolevi was claimed off of waivers by the Detroit Red Wings this past weekend, and in essence, in claiming him from the Florida Panthers, it brought to an end the trade tree regarding the Vancouver Canucks and the Florida Panthers. So let's talk about Olli Juolevi first, his history, his time with the Canucks, and basically what the result of his time with the Canucks ended up being. So Olli Juolevi drafted in 2016, in the 2016 draft, and that draft was pretty stacked when you think about it. Number one was Auston Matthews to Toronto, the consensus number one pick, Auston Matthews. Number two, Patrik Laine to the Winnipeg Jets. No surprise there. Then in Columbus went with Pierre-Luc Dubois for number three, and then I was kind of hoping that the Jesse Puljujarvi would fall to the Canucks at number 5, but no, Edmonton takes Puljujarvi at number 4. Then there seemed to be some debate, should the Canucks take Juolevi or this guy named Matthew Tkachuk, who we now know is ripping things up for the first place Calgary Flames. But let's be fair, Juolevi was the consensus number one defenseman at that time. Decent skater, good hockey IQ, good first pass, a good puck-moving defenseman. So the Canucks drafted him. Canucks drafted him with the 5th overall pick. And then he did 1 year in Finland, then came over, went to Utica, had a couple of injury-plagued seasons in Utica, finally made his debut for the Canucks inside of the playoff bubble, and then that was in the summer 2020, and then had a decent training camp in the shortened season at the start of 2021, the shortened season, and he actually played 23 games all last season with the Vancouver Canucks. In those 23 games, amassing 3 points. But that's it. Then he was benched in favor of guys like Jack Rathbone and other left shot defensemen, and that was it for Olli Juolevi. 23 games in his 6-year career with the Canucks. Basically, it took him 5 or 6 years to get to the team. And I remember at the time, maybe I was trying to justify Jim Benning's pick or whatever. I was saying, defensemen take a longer time to develop. Let's give him some time. There's no need to rush him. He's going to turn into a good player. And I think I was kind of, shaded by or biased by Benning's decent track record drafting in the years preceding and after it, succeeding. 2015, he picked Brock Boeser up with the 23rd overall pick. 2017, of course, Elias Pettersson with the 5th overall pick. Then we had Quinn Hughes in 2018 with the 7th overall pick. So those are 3 cornerstone players that are still with the team right now. So we were hoping, obviously, that Juolevi would work out as well. But understandably, Canucks fans, their patience was wearing thin, and even when he got into the lineup, he wasn't doing anything spectacular. He wasn't making any horrible errors, but he wasn't also moving the needle, so to speak. So the Canucks ended up parting ways with Olli Juolevi in the summer of 2021. So they trade Juolevi. I can't remember if it was the summer or if it was the start of training camp. Regardless, they trade Juolevi to the Florida Panthers for 2 guys that we knew barely anything about. And it was a center named Juho Lammikko and a defenseman from Abbotsford named Noah Juulsen. Now, Juulsen's only played a handful of games for the Vancouver Canucks when the Canucks were riddled with injuries on their back end. So the jury's still out on him. He's a gamer, he tries hard. He's not free from mistakes, not that any of us are, but he's still a work in progress for sure, Juulsen. But Lammikko has turned into such an important piece for this team, especially with the injury to Brandon Sutter. Sutter likely won't play this entire season. And Lammikko has stepped up as a solid 4th line center, centering a very consistent utility line of Lammikko, Highmore, and Motte. Basically the only line that stayed consistent for the Canucks for the past month. And Lammikko is improved in the face-off circle. He's improved his defensive play, his offensive play, and his puck skills have likely been massively underrated in this market, and we just see how liked he is by his teammates, how much Bruce Boudreau loves him, even though he didn't know who he was when he first got here. All to say that Lammikko has played very well, and he's the staple of that 4th line. Now, he is an RFA, so the Canucks still have all the bargaining power, and they might want to sign him to a 1 or 2 year contract for maybe about $1 million bucks or so. He's only making $750 this year, so that's a steal when it comes to Juho Lammikko. So you can tell that obviously the trade itself for Olli Juolevi going to Florida, for Lammikko and Juulsen coming back, with all due respect to Juolevi, a massive W for the Vancouver Canucks because you have two guys that are still in the system. Basically, Florida lost Lammikko, they lost Juulsen for nothing. And that's because that nothing is Juolevi going to waivers and them not getting anything for him. So now Detroit is the beneficiary of that. So Florida recoups absolutely nothing from that trade and ends up losing two players, one of them who's making a pretty significant contribution to the Vancouver Canucks right now. So I don't think there's any question that we can say that the Vancouver Canucks won that trade. Now, not to make ourselves feel bad, but who could the Canucks could have chosen instead of Olli Juolevi? Well, the big one is Matthew Tkachuk, picked one spot later by the Calgary Flames at number 6. Imagine Matthew Tkachuk along the wing with Elias Pettersson. Oh, that would just be an amazing combination. So Tkachuk was number 6. Clayton Keller was number 7, a very gifted offensive player playing for the Arizona Coyotes. And then we could go down and down the list, but other forwards that went later, Alex DeBrincat went in the 2nd round, Dante Fabro. So there are a lot of good forwards that went in that draft after Juolevi. But a more fair comparison would be the defenseman that went. So Mikhail Sergachev, a 2-time Stanley Cup champion with the Tampa Bay Lightning, he went number 9. That was a little bit later. You have a guy like Charlie McAvoy going in the mid-teens in that draft. Jacob Chychrun going a bit later in that draft. Samuel Girard going in the 50s, I believe, near the end of the 2nd round. So almost, well, I don't want to say every defenseman, but so many defensemen picked after Olli Juolevi in that draft are already making major contributions to their NHL clubs. So Canucks fans, this is my question. Now that we look at all this, 5th overall in 2016, 23 games with the Canucks, traded for Lammikko and Juulsen, going on waivers and now playing in Detroit, or at least in their organization. We'll see how much he gets to play. At least he gets to say hi to former teammate Troy Stecher. How would you sum up Olli Juolevi's time here in Vancouver? Disappointing, frustrating, saddening, maddening. I know you're not going to say gladdening. So what is it? And are you mad? Are you frustrated? Are you mad at Benning for drafting him? Do you think of what could have been? Or is it just simply some draft picks hit, some draft picks don't, and that's why they're called lottery picks, because you simply have no idea what is going to happen and how they're going to turn out. Let me know in the comments below. I'm very, very curious to see what your thoughts are now that Olli Juolevi, that like I said, that trade tree has kind of closed and that he's in Detroit now, and we have Lammikko and Juulsen, and you still look at all the players that went after him. Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to know your reaction. You know mine. Obviously a big W, the win for the Canucks in the trade department. Lammikko maybe going to be a contributor for many years to come. And I don't wish any ill will on Olli Juolevi, but I do wish that we took Matthew Tkachuk with the very next pick. And lastly, it's funny, while Juolevi was with the Canucks, I would kind of shy away from that kind of talk. I thought it was kind of disrespectful. I thought it was kind of, let's see how Juolevi will turn out. The defenseman take longer, blah, 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 blah. Well, all you guys were right. I was one of the ones wrong. And unfortunately, that was a big swing and a miss by former GM Jim Benning. So let me know in the comments below your thoughts on Olli Juolevi and his legacy or lack thereof. I'll do my best to read, react, and reply. Subscribe if you'd like to. Like this video if you'd like to. Become a member or upgrade if you'd like to. Leave a comment down below if you'd like to. And tell me if you like this vlogging style where I'm not stationary, I'm outside in the beautiful weather, and hopefully not making you sick, giving you motion sickness or dizziness. Have a great day. Stay safe, stay healthy. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. God bless, and go Canucks go.